The journey of Jeremy Lin is one of both faith and fear, of overcoming the greatest of doubts within one's mind and being able to get back up when life knocks you down time and time again. It's one that can translate to the screens of Hollywood while still being relatable to the real life struggles that everyone goes through at some point in life. The realization that sometimes no matter how hard you've worked, things just don't go the way you had planned. Learning that the real triumph comes from how you respond when your back is against the wall. After facing a disappointing assumed end to his NBA career, Lin has been forced to start back from ground zero, restarting his professional career in a different country and rediscovering who he is both as a player and a person. The result has been a resurgence of not only his ability on the court, but a lesson in how to overcome the demons that arise with failure. The story of Jeremy Lin's second chance with the game he loves is one that proves the value in not letting yourself give up, and deserves to be shared with the world. For many, Lin's sanity will always define the career of Jeremy Lin. His emergence into the hoops world and underdog story sparked a buzz for an individual player unlike anything that had ever been seen before or since. But it's the time that has passed since then that has shaped the player Lin is today. Although he was never quite able to reach the success he had found earlier in his career, Lin carved out solid numbers over the next 8 seasons, making a name for himself as a dependable point guard that could create offense for himself and was reliable in the pick and roll, providing flashes of the player that he had once shown he could be. Coming off one of the best years of his career with Brooklyn in 2017, Lin had hoped to take his game to a new level the following season, but was faced with a devastating knee injury during the first game, effectively ending his year before it had even begun. After fully recovering in hopes of making a comeback, Lin was traded by the Nets to a rebuilding Atlanta Hawks franchise in 2018, where he would come off the bench backing up first-round pick Trae Young. Knowing Lin would want to play for a contender, the Hawks would buy out his contract, allowing him to sign a 1-year deal with the second-place Toronto Raptors. While this was exactly the opportunity he had hoped for, Lin struggled in his first several games with the Raptors, shooting a career low from 3 and fighting for minutes in the rotation. Come playoff time, the Raptors would elect to go with Fred VanVleet as the primary guard off the bench, marking the end of Lin's on-court time in Toronto. Though he was able to become the first Asian American player to ever win an NBA championship, it's understandable that Jeremy was ready to regain his place as a contributor on an NBA roster. But as free agency approached, teams simply weren't calling. Although he remained one of the biggest names in the sport worldwide, franchises just didn't believe that he could fully contribute on the same level as before. Just months after feeling that he had been handed the best opportunity of his career, Lin now found himself out of the league altogether. Following his inability to pick up an NBA contract in the offseason, on August 27, 2019, Jeremy Lin elected to sign a 1-year contract with the Beijing Ducks of the Chinese Basketball Association. With Lin being a basketball icon in Asia and having made multiple tours around China each offseason, the buzz behind the move was larger than life. Jeremy would go on to lead the Ducks to their first semifinal appearance since 2015, when fellow former Knicks Stephon Marbury led Beijing to a CBA championship. Lin thrived in the opportunity to not only start, but lead the franchise, averaging 22 points and 5.6 assists on his way to being named a CBA All-Star. While some critics questioned why he was unable to put up historic numbers like other foreign-based players such as Jimmer Fredette, Lin's leadership and ability to command his team on both sides of the ball more than proved his value. He was nominated for the CBA's Defensive Player of the Year award and earned the respect of players all over the league after he overcame the intentional physicality that was thrown his way from day one. Jeremy had overcome the target on his back and shown that he is still more than capable of leading a team when he steps on the floor. However, the most notable benefit from playing in China didn't necessarily come on the court, but in his own mind.
Going in, I had such a determined mindset and I had such a killer intention. But I was so damaged and I carried so much emotional baggage that even though my intention was to do amazing things, I had such a fearful mindset. And even though, looking on paper, it was like, the season came and went and I was an all-star and there were many things that went my way and and positive things that happened, but at the end of the day, I still struggled with so much fear this past season. And one of my teammates, he texted me that night, and he said to me, I just met you this season, but when I would watch you play during Insanity, during New York times, I would only watch through the screen, but even through the screen, I could see this fearlessness in your eyes. But through the first 30 games this season, I sensed so much fear in you. And it was at that point when I was like, you know what? This stops today. I'm going to wage war on fear.
After some deep soul searching and taking some steps to reconcile with the thoughts that were holding him back, Lin saw his mental health begin to heal. Where doubt and uncertainty had once dominated his thoughts, Jeremy has been able to think more freely and play the game with the same joy that had allowed him to fall in love with the sport as a kid in Palo Alto, California. Now with his on and off court demons being conquered, it's time to step up to a new challenge, a comeback in the NBA. In order to determine if Jeremy has a legitimate chance of making a return to the NBA, we have to first look at why he was dismissed in the first place. Despite being on the NBA championship roster of the Toronto Raptors, Lin notably struggled in his first season back from having a major knee injury a year prior. While it's not uncommon for players to have an off year following a serious injury, at 31 years old and with notable shooting struggles, many franchises likely felt that Jeremy had little to offer at this stage in his career. The question is, was he able to answer these concerns during his year in China so that teams feel comfortable adding him to their roster again? I believe that he was able to address the first concern, whether he's fully healthy or not, fairly easily over the course of this past season. He didn't miss a single game due to significant injury, even though he was constantly targeted by other players in the much more physical CBA, and looked as if he hadn't lost a step at all on the offensive or defensive end. That being said, I feel that his greatest contribution for his case to return to the NBA comes in the form of his reconstructed jump shot. Lin has notoriously been a streaky shooter from three for his career, with a somewhat unorthodox two-motion jumper. In the past year, Lin has spent hours smoothing out his jumper, making it where he can get it off quicker and with more consistency. During this past season in the CBA, he was able to shoot at a higher percentage and showed confidence in his stroke for the first time in years. If he can continue to grow as an outside perimeter threat, while also being willing to adapt to whatever role off the bench that a coaching staff would place him in, then he could fill several spots around the league. Plenty of contending teams have shown a need for a floor general off the bench that can direct the offense and create for others. And with Lin's ability to read the pick and roll well and benefits he brings as a leader in the locker room, I think we could see Lin back in the NBA sooner than you think. I don't know without a doubt that Jeremy Lin will ever make it back to the NBA. There are a ton of factors and variables that could swing the possibility in any direction. But the story of Jeremy Lin's second chance doesn't have to have a comeback ending to be worthy of being shared. This story is more than just never giving up on your dreams. It's more than learning from failure. This is the story of overcoming the worst kind of enemy, yourself. We all have negativity that holds us back, whether it be words that others have said to us or beliefs that we have formed about ourselves. Where this story has incredible value is the lesson it teaches of the importance of taking these thoughts head on and deciding that we don't have to let them control us. The anxiety and doubt that had corrupted Jeremy's mindset after years of trying to overcome odds and live up to expectations led to a downward mental spiral that affected every aspect of his life. Only once he made the decision to wage war on this fear and negativity was he able to free himself from the power it held over him. By challenging these false beliefs that he had created in his own mind, he lifted his mental health and thrived accordingly. I believe this is the greatest lesson that any of us can learn from the story of Jeremy Lin's career so far. It doesn't have to be the Hollywood underdog story that is known by millions. Simply the ability to conquer fear in your own life and create the future you want for yourself is inspirational all on its own. But getting another shot at the NBA would be pretty great too. What's going on, y'all? This is Trice here. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you so much for your constant support. Don't forget to drop a like, leave feedback in the comment section below, and subscribe for more content. I encourage you to go check out the rest of my channel if you haven't. I have a wide variety of content like this one, breaking down players, as well as some short films and documentaries that I'm sure any basketball fan will enjoy. Remember to turn on the post notification bell so you don't miss any new content as soon as I upload it to YouTube. I've got some great content coming up soon that I'm very excited about, and I can't wait to share it with you. In the meantime, be sure to connect with me on social media. As always, this has been Trice. God bless.